Namaskar. I am Assistant Professor Kritika Dev from LJ School of Law. Today, the subject is the same Indian Penal Code, but the topic is different. And the topics with which we are going to deal in today's session are two in number. The first one is robbery. Yes, imagination cloud, robbery, bank robbery, you must have heard about that. Dacoity. Now, I guess a bit difficult term to define when it comes to a layman. How do they define dacoity? But coming to robbery, I guess it is very easy to define that people go for bank robbery. You know, a bank has been robbed. So you heard this term robbery. But today we will see there is the involvement of theft and extortion in robbery. Yes, there is a connection between theft and extortion with robbery. And of course, an extended version is also there of robbery, and that is dacoity. Now, in order to get a clear idea, let's move on to the section. Now, you can see the section here and also the picture. But with the section, that is 390, which talks about robbery, it very clearly states that in all robberies, there is either theft or extortion. As I said, there is a connection between theft, extortion, and robbery. So here is the connection that in every robbery, there is either theft or extortion. Right, the simple example, somebody pointing the gun at you and then asking you to give away your all your belongings, right? This is simply that we see that is robbery. But why is that robbery? That is what we are going to see under this very section. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, the next slide talks about when theft is robbery. As I always say that keep revising. Now, this is the reason I ask you to revise. Why? Because today we need to remember the elements of theft, right? Now, let me list it very quickly. It is with regard to or in respect to the movable property. It is without concern, okay? And there is, take the property out of the possession of the person, and there is a dishonest intention. That is about theft. Now let's see what is there which makes theft into robbery or which converts theft into robbery. The first point here is in order to carrying away or attempting to carry away property, there is voluntarily or the person attempts to cause to any person for that end death or hurt or wrongful restraint or fear of instant death or of instant hurt or instant wrongful restraint. Now here this you can see the things that you can see here are the extended version of theft, and that is the reason it is converting theft into robbery. So now here the element which must be highly, or you can notice it, that is when you attempt to take that very property, you either cause death, hurt or wrongful restraint for that very end. So when we read the definition of theft or when we saw the elements or ingredients of theft, there we were very much clear that no use or no element of force is there or no element of death, hurt or wrongful restraint is there. It's just taking property dishonestly without the consent of the owner. Right? So here you can see that if any person for that end causes death, hurt or wrongful restraint, or he causes the fear that he will cause the death. He does not cause death, but he causes that fear or in the mind of the other person that he may cause death or wrongful restraint or hurt, then it amounts to robbery. Now, let me give you the same example that Y calls everybody in the house, the same example as we had seen in theft, so that you can relate. Now, what happened? There in the gathering, an antique was missing from the corner table, and then you remember Mr. A who took the very antique. Now, there we could see everything was going peacefully. But now, here, as soon as Mr. A heard that Mr. Y is going to search everybody, going to check everybody. What he did, he just took that antique and he tried to run away. Okay, now in order to do that, and while doing it, he suddenly closed the door, or he suddenly just took something in his hand, right? There was one sharp edged weapon, or there was some knife. Of course, we can find a knife in the kitchen very easily, so there was knife, and he took that knife in the hand and said, if anybody will move, I'm gonna hurt, right? So he had that knife in his hand and he warned everybody. So there was a fear of instant hurt, if not death. Or maybe he said, I'll kill anybody who comes near me or who tries to take this antique from me. So it could be wrongful, it could be instant death also. Or what if Mr. A caused the death of somebody, right? Mr. A was running and Mr. Y just came to save the antique, and he just stabbed Mr. Y on his chest, and Mr. Y died. So here he caused the death. And if we see in the previous example, he caused the fear of instant death or hurt. So extension of that very theft is instant death or fear of instant death or of hurt. Then theft is converted into robbery. And that is the time when theft is robbery. Right? Is that clear? So this is the situation when theft becomes robbery. Now let's see, as I've said, that in every robbery there is either theft or extortion. So we have discussed about theft. Now it is the time for extortion. Now, in the previous example, if you remember, right, under extortion, I just gave you one example that a person gives a call and says that you transfer this amount to me, otherwise I'll kidnap your child, or I'll cause some hurt to you tomorrow, or whatsoever. But I said call. But when it comes to robbery, when extortion is getting converted into robbery, immediate presence before the person is mandatory. It is a element here, which means that the person who is asking for that very money or property, he has to be physically present before the other party. First, if somebody does that to me, God forbid, but if that happens, let's take an example, that if that happens, then the other person has to be present in front of me. He has to be there. His immediate presence is required in order to convert extortion into robbery, right? That is present and sitting on the front chair or in front of me and saying that you transfer that amount to me, or I will kill you. Now that is the fear of instant death, right? Or he's sitting in front of me and saying, you better transfer that amount, or that XYZ person will be killed by me, right? So the immediate presence of the person has to be there, and the fear of instant death, right? That the death will be caused now, that instant one. So if I'll give XYZ person also, if he's saying that to me, then the XYZ person has to be present here in this room. So because immediate presence has to be there, and that instant death, the fear of death or hurt or wrongful restraint has to be there, right? So that instant term is very important, and the presence before the person. And he also asks that now only you sign this very paper. As we can see, the third element induces there and then to deliver the property, right? No tomorrow, no after 10 days, nothing like that. It has to be today. So it has to be now. There and then the person says, you sign this property, otherwise I will kill you. And he says that by sitting in front of me. And now that is when extortion is getting converted into robbery. Is that clear? So these are the elements which convert extortion into robbery. Now the punishment for the same is mentioned under section 392 of Indian Penal Code. In general, when it comes to robbery, it is up to 10 years, right? Up to 10 years of imprisonment. Rigorous imprisonment has been mentioned. And if robbery is being committed, right, between sunset and sunrise, right? For say if you are moving on a highway, okay, and suddenly some people they just come in your immediate presence and point out a gun and say, you better give all the cash to me. Now, immediate presence, fear of instant death, and the inducement that you deliver property now and here, and if at all you are traveling in during the night time, right? So it is between sunset and sunrise. So the punishment would be up to 14 years, and with fine. No or option is there. It is with fine. Fine has to be there all the time. Now, when robbery is dacoity, now the ingredient is very simple, that when five or more people are involved in a robbery, then robbery gets converted into dacoity. Right? In the same action as we had seen in the examples, if more than five people are involved, then there is dacoity. Right? Of course, everybody will be equally liable. Whosoever is involved in the dacoity, everybody will be equally liable. But when five or more people are involved in the previous examples that we have seen, then it will get converted into dacoity. I hope with this every concept that when theft is robbery, when extortion is robbery, when robbery gets converted into dacoity, everything is clear in your mind, right? With this, let's give a rest to the lecture. And till then, keep studying, keep revising, and take good care of yourself. And keep seeing the lectures again if you get any doubt. Okay. Thank you so much.